Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live reaction from today's Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle, episode 55. I am Dustin Starr and just wanted to take a second. Hello, Mr. E. Just wanted to take a second to answer any questions and talk about today's program. I am coming to you live on YouTube from my backyard. So, different times here with what's going on, but still able to bring you the very best and the fastest hour in professional wrestling each and every week. Hello there. Come on in, everybody. Live chat was absolutely lit. And right off the top, I want to thank everybody for joining us each and every week for the live chat and also watching. Just watching our program really helps whether you're on the live chat or not. Special shout out to all of our great sponsors, Pro Shingle. Go to proshingle.com if you're in the Mid-South area where they're paying insurance deductibles up to $1,000. Hello to United Wrestling Network from the office in Hollywood. Oh, yeah. But Pro Shingle, go to proshingle.com. They give free estimates on all home improvement. Also, big shout out to Sonic Drive-In. Sonic's been a proud sponsor of Championship Wrestling since day one, just like Pro Shingle has. Be Free CBD, go check them out all over the world. They ship, BeFreeCBD.com. They bring us our Championship Wrestling podcast each and every Monday at noon. If you haven't checked it out, then please go and watch that. Last week we had broadcaster for Championship Wrestling and MMA fighter Blake Bulletproof Troop. The dude is legit, and we talked wrestling and MMA, and also last week's wild main event that was Falls Count Anywhere between Heather Monroe and Lacey Ryan. And then this Monday at noon, I have a special interview with David Marquez. John Roberts, how are you, man? David Marquez joins us on Monday at noon. It's a premiere, so you can actually join us for the live chat. Also, if you have any questions for David Marquez, you can submit those and we'll be sure to answer them. But he gives you insight on programming moving forward, which WWE superstars could end up on Championship Wrestling at one point. We even discussed the possibilities of having brand new television tapings, maybe in an empty building. So there is nothing that's off the table with that as we continue to bring you brand new episodes featuring some of the greatest matches that we've had here on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. And then also tomorrow, be sure to go to United Wrestling Network and watch the China special, which is a huge, huge deal. And you'll hear David Marquez talk about that on Monday's podcast too. But if you have any questions or any reactions or what you thought about today's program, it was a different setting, a little bit of a different style. There were some great ideas that came up in the live chat. Mr. E says, love your product. Everyone's doing a great job. Thank you. And we see you each and every week in the live chat, and we really appreciate that. Gives us good feedback. John Roberts, great out here in Los Angeles. Hope all is well in Memphis. Yes, and fortunately, with the technology that we have, we can still interact with the wrestling fans. We can still shoot brand new footage and brand new content, even from studios in our own home or even in our living room or just like me now in my backyard. And like many of you being in quarantine, I've taken it very seriously to where we don't leave the house. My family and I do not leave the house unless it's absolutely necessary. So we're able to get a lot of the work done, you know, from the confines of our own household. Luckily, not in the confines of a solid steel cage like today's tag team match. Oh man, I remember watching that live at the Ocean View Pavilion because if you guys remember, myself and my Maria debuted inside the ring at Red Carpet Rumble Part 3, which I'm pretty sure you're going to see coming up very, very soon on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. So shout out to all of our sponsors, shout out to all of our fans, all the viewers, everybody that's watching this right now. Even if you don't have a chance to watch it live and you have questions, go ahead and put those questions in the comments and then I'll do my best to answer each and every one of them. And you know we're very interactive on this YouTube channel. We try to respond to each and every comment, whether it's good or whether it's bad. And we appreciate you guys for interacting with us. Be sure to follow us on all forms of social media at CW30 Wrestling. Today's show featured tag team matches, some of the very best tag team matches that we've ever seen within the last 13 months almost of being on the air. We celebrated our birthday. Was that last week? It was 2 weeks ago, so you can go back and check that out. And next week, we're going to take a look back at our very first episode. Does anybody remember who the very first match was in the history of Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle? I'm going to mispronounce this name, so I'm not even going to try, but there was I love you, Dustin. I'm the guy making you say, Mil Muertes. Yes, still looking forward for Mil Muertes to come to Memphis, Tennessee. Lamb says, I remember the cake. Yeah, let's not talk about the cake. We're going to look back at the first episode, everything except for the cake. That was a big bonehead move on my part. But any questions, any behind-the-scenes questions or anything like that about today's episode? We put this show together because those were three of the very best tag team matches. I mean, me and David talk about it on Monday. I don't know if there's ever in the history of professional wrestling been such a tag team division that is loaded like Championship Wrestling is. I mean, we can name off all the great tag teams, but David actually agreed with that as well. The tag team titles look tremendous. You have everybody from Reno Scum to Soul Burners, Friendship Farm, the undefeated Wolf Zaddies. What about Wasted Youth? Those guys are absolutely impressive. So tag team division, you had Double Platinum, who now the upper class has been, defunct and disbanded as Jamie Iovine tries to recruit some new talent. Didn't go so well last week with Ice Williams, but those were the tag team matches that we picked. Mr. E says Dustin is like the Werewolves of London and his hair was perfect. I have not had a haircut in over a month, and I usually get my hair cut every single week because I do so much television. It just makes me feel, I guess, more confident when I'm, have a fresh cut. So this is a month worth right here. Maybe down the line, some of Championship Wrestling from Arizona are coming over and get a shot. Yeah, that could absolutely happen. There is no telling the action that you're going to see as soon as all the pandemic is over and we're producing, new matches and live matches and such. But this week we started off with a first ever and only ever mixed tag team match that pitted the upper class. Now check this out, man. Royce Isaacs was the United TV champion. He teamed up with Killer Bay, Heather Monroe, and they had an entire entourage at ringside. I mean, they had Houston Body at ringside and Jamie Iovine, so it was almost like 4-on-2 against one half of the United World Tag Team Champions at the time, Taylor, who I think is going to be a huge, huge star, just so impressive. And of course, Sandra Moon, who is one of the top athletes that we have in our women's division. But that match is one of the most watched matches on our YouTube channel or on our television program. Go back and check that out. I don't have it off the top of my head what episode it was, but that match was one of the most viewed matches in history. So that's one of the reasons why we had that match on the program. And then, of course, up next was the steel cage match. Unbelievable. And we mentioned it in the live chat. We were a little worried that CW30 or some of the television programs, or television stations rather, were going to censor that match and may not let us air it due to all the blood from Johnny Yuma. But fortunately that all worked out, and man, what a steel cage match that was. That was from Red Carpet Rumble Part 1. It was a bitter feud that had lasted a long time, and they finally had to sell it inside the steel cage with Reno Scum, who you can see on Impact Wrestling, against the Rock Nest Monsters, Johnny Yuma and Kevin Martinson. Mr. E says, Royce is a great talent. They all are. That was a great match. Yeah, Royce Isaacs and everybody in that match were absolutely fantastic. Royce is on the NWA Power program. He was one half of the NWA World Tag Team Champions. I actually interviewed Royce Isaacs just about a month back, maybe a little bit more than that, before the pandemic happens. You can go to grindcitymedia.com/podcasts, and you can hear that interview where he talks all about NWA Power. Question, ever thought of doing a United TV show showing footage of championship wrestling from Hollywood and Arizona while we can't tape? That's a question for David Marquez. I actually asked him about the programming moving forward and what to expect. So tune into the podcast on Monday at noon. And that's not just a cheap plug. There was just so much that we talked about. I don't know as much about the Arizona product as what I do the Hollywood product and championship wrestling, but I do watch the Arizona product, and I'm a fan of it, obviously. Hey, fly me out to Arizona. Let me kick some butt there. As long as I get my hands on Ray Rosas, it doesn't matter where it is, but it's definitely going to happen in Memphis at the belated birthday bash. Let's see, there's another question. Keep doing a hell of a job. Any legends expected to come to Championship Wrestling? So once again, plugging the podcast, David Marquez had a short list of guys that we've been talking about that possibly have been released from WWE here recently that could wind up on our program. But with the way that the pandemic is and all the restrictions of doing live events, man, it's just really, there are so many opportunities that we can't capitalize on right now. But keep your eyes open. Next week, on this program, Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle, you're going to see Dave Brown, legendary Memphis broadcaster, who was actually honored at AEW here recently, WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler, another WWE Hall of Famer, Rikishi, the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott Steiner will be on the show along with Buff Bagwell. Lots and lots and lots of fun stuff coming up on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. All right, I'm going through some of these questions. Thanks for that, Sports Live in the ATL. Shout out to Atlanta. Mr. E says that was pro wrestling at its best. Thank you. United Wrestling Network, we include Arizona into Championship Wrestling from Hollywood often, much like the NWA. Yes, so you definitely see, guys like R3, Peter Avalon. Peter Avalon's a guy that's bounced back and forth. But there's a ton of different talent that you see from Arizona that also pops up on Championship Wrestling. Much like the NWA, and speaking of NWA, we see a lot of the NWA stars, especially on our blockbuster events. Question Mark, Thunder Rosa, Nick Aldis, Allison Kay. Gosh, the list goes on and on. Man, we had the Question Mark versus Gentleman Jervis just about a month back. That was fantastic. Sports Live in the ATL, what was wrestling that got you hooked? I'm old school 80s. Well, if you're old school 80s, you got to know about Memphis wrestling. My family took me to Mid-South Coliseum each and every Monday night. I trained when professional wrestling was Power Pro Wrestling live at Channel 5. I set up the rings and worked out in the rings with some of the very best guys, even when they had the WWE developmental. So Memphis wrestling, now don't get me wrong, that's what made me want to be a professional wrestler. Growing up and doing promos in the mirror to myself, I wasn't talking to the King and JR. I wasn't talking to Gorilla and Jesse. I was talking to Lance and Dave from Memphis. That was my dream. But the match that made me want to become a professional wrestler was Hogan versus Warrior, Toronto Sky Dome, 90,000 people, the Ultimate Challenge champion versus champion. I'll never forget watching that match with my dad. It was awesome. All right, some more questions here. Who's a better break dancer, you or Houston? Be honest. Oh, that's a serious question? Probably Houston. I'll give him that one. He could take that one. United Wrestling Network, Ray has contacted the office and let us know that he's prolonging his retirement. Good. Don't retire yet, Ray Rosas. Not until I'm done with you. We could make it a retirement match if you want to retire so badly, Ray Rosas. It will happen, and it's going to happen in Memphis, Tennessee. And if I have to hop on a plane and go to Hollywood, California as soon as all this is over, I will be there. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go back to Red Carpet Rumble Part 3, the Rumble itself. Ray Rosas did the ultimate no-no and put his hands on my wife, my Maria, at ringside. It was not instigated or antagonized at all. He just did because that's what type of guy he is. But Ray Rosas, it does look like he will not retire like he said. Here's another question. You only need 2 legends. Dustin and his Maria. Oh, I appreciate that. We're not old enough to be legends. See what I did there? WWE did a lot of releases for sure. Will you guys ever do shows here in Atlanta? Well, you guys are fortunate enough to have NWA in Atlanta. And you just never know. On the podcast this Monday, I tell David Marquez, you know everybody. There's no telling where we'll do television tapings or where we'll end up next. But I know that we're going to end up at AutoZone Park in downtown Memphis just as soon as possible, and we're going to do our belated birthday bash. And David and I talk about that on Monday. And we also talk about the plans that some of you may not know that we have in store, even since day one with Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. How do you guys like the sound of Championship Wrestling from Memphis? Right? That's what it's all about right there. What a mega super show, Mr. E says. Next week is great too. Personal question, when United Wrestling Network World Championship Tournament happens, you want to be in it. Come on, bro. Are you serious? Of course I want to be in it. And I hate to keep plugging the podcast on Monday, but that was a topic of conversation that came up. And you know your boy threw his name in the hat. You know, I've been wrestling for over 20 years, guys. Wrestled on Memphis Wrestling, Southern Junior Heavyweight Champion multiple time, Southern Tag Team Champion, Southern Heavyweight Champion, defeated guys like Jeff Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, Jimmy Valiant, gosh, Superstar Bill Dundee. You can go search Dustin Starr on YouTube and you'll find the 5-star fan cam. It's a YouTube channel that has a ton of our matches on there with guys like Matt Hardy, Cowboy James Storm, you name it. They've all come through here, and it's been pretty cool, especially the last several years, that when a big star comes to Memphis, they got to step in the ring with 5-star. All right, just going through your comments here. Love NWA too. I love NWA as well. I wish I could have been in that area then. Yeah, man. Sports Live in Atlanta says, yeah, watch USWA, WWF, NWA, and WCCW. Yeah, USWA was the jam. You talk about superstars coming through Memphis. USWA was where it's at. That's strong, Dustin. Let's see, Sports Live went to WrestleMania in Orlando back in 2007, I believe. What an experience. I was at WrestleMania in Orlando just a couple of years back. I can't remember. I think it was 33 possibly. And then also went to NOLA and New Orleans and went to that WrestleMania. I was actually a VIP guest at WrestleMania 25 and watched Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels sitting right next to the Steamboats, the Rhodes, and the Flairs. One of the things was we were all drinking beer, and so every false finish, the guys would get up. Oh, no. Oh no. They had to go to the bathroom. Great false finishes. Thanks for being real. You're going to destroy Ray. Mr. E Face, absolutely. And happy birthday to you, my friend. Thanks for enjoying that birthday in the chat. And I know you're doing some day drinking as well. Jay says, but Andy Brown and Adrian Quest, what about them? They're the United World Tag Team Champions. Like it or not, I don't agree with how they got the job done, but they got the job done and they're hanging on to those titles. Look at the stable, man. Static has Ray Rosas, who won the PP3. Well, he stole the PP3 Cup from Anthony Idol, and he won the Arizona State Championship, alongside Andy Brown and Adrian Quest, who are the United World Tag Team Champions. These guys have everything. They have it all. And I hope they keep it all because I look forward to meeting them in Memphis at some point. But those guys are on a roll. You talk about 2019, Ray Rosas couldn't win a match. He changes his attitude and his style. Now he's the top guy in the company. And I hate to admit that. You guys getting Jerry the King Lawler is awesome. Well done. We actually ran a live event with Jerry Lawler and Jerry Calhoun. If you go to our playlist on this very YouTube channel and you hit vlog, you'll see several vlogs where we tour inside Mid-South Coliseum with Jerry Lawler. And then also there's some behind the scenes stuff from the Jerry and Jerry show, a show that I promoted along with, it was like a live Q&A discussion with Jerry Lawler and Jerry Calhoun. And Jerry Calhoun is probably the most famous wrestling referee of my time, just growing up in Memphis. So that's in the playlist. It's called Vlog. You'll see all of that. Plans. Destiny says plans. More? You got to tune in. Tune in on Monday for the Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by Be Free CBD. Hey, and by the way, this isn't a cheap plug. I love CBD. Aches, pains, anxiety, especially now. The box is fantastic. The rates are good. They ship anywhere in the world. BeFreeCBD.com. But there are some big plans, Destiny. Mr. E, I will do my best to be at as many live events as I can. We appreciate that, man. And if you can't be there live, interact with us live. Greg, great shows from this federation. Love it. Thank you, man. I know people were a little disappointed at the thought of airing stuff that you'd already seen, but not everybody has seen it. Plus, we're going to mix it in with never before seen content because, as many of you know, the world is shut down and there's not a whole lot of taping that we can do. But we'll do our very best to bring you never before seen footage and some of the very best action that you've ever seen on our program. Scrolling through the comments, I'm a little behind here. Great shows from this federation. Already got that. Hey, Dustin. Looks beautiful there, man. Thanks. This is my backyard. I think my chihuahuas are running around out here. So is Winston. Luckily, they're not barking. Sounds like somebody's playing some music in the background. I smell a little bit of it's not a campfire, but it smells like something's burning. It's just a little chilly out here, but not really. I mean, it's actually a very nice day here in Memphis, Tennessee. I hope we'll see each other one day in the Ocean View Pavilion or Memphis. Would love to sit down with you and do an interview for @CWFH. Whoops. Fan News. Yeah, and shout out to @CWFH Fan News. Go follow them. They share a ton of information about our wrestling league and all of our wrestling leagues and all the syndications and affiliates. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for helping get the word out for over a year now. And I'd love to do any kind of interview. You name it, and I'm there. Going through the comments here real quick. Oh, I did not mean to delete that comment. Hold on one second. Sorry, I did not mean to delete a comment. It says I deleted a comment. Greg says, we are seeing wrestlers with so much skill, so many moves, and even the larger wrestlers are showing agility and skill. Oh man, who you kidding? Gosh, some of the big guys move just as quickly and as, agile as some of the smaller guys. I mean, you see guys like Adrian Quest that can do a little bit of everything. Him and Danny Limelight Rivera. Shout out to Danny. He's been killing it lately. But yeah, man, these big men, they know how to move. I mean, look at a guy like Watts, who I can't believe is not on an international program somewhere all over the world. Not that our reach is not great, because it is. I mean, this is actually a springboard for a lot of people who have gotten signed to big contracts at least over the last 12 months. In front of the camera and behind the desk. So great opportunities, and those guys are just getting better and better. Breath of fresh air. I'm going to continue to share the link. I love this. Thank you, Greg. And everybody, go ahead and share the link if you can. If you have a lot of friends that like professional wrestling and are looking for something fresh and something new, share with them. Tell them to join us. And our chat, I've heard that our chat is one of the most fun chats because you don't have a lot of trolls, you don't have a lot of bad mouthing. It's all positive wrestling fans, and we appreciate you guys for that. And anytime there's any kind of trolling or anything, which is very rare, we'll throw them over the top rope and get them out of there. Are you ever going to wrestle Dan Joseph? Funny story, I almost wrestled Dan Joseph in the broadcast booth. Actually, I joined the commentary team with Todd Kenley and Dan Joseph for probably 3 episodes or maybe 6 episodes in 2019. And he and I kept bantering back and forth. And I said, hey, man, we're going to have a match right here in the booth. And I think it surprised a lot of people. But I love Dan Joseph. Me and Maria, as we watched the show each week, we would laugh because, he was just talking that raspy, oh, come on, Todd. It was just hilarious, and we loved him. And then to see him be a special surprise entrant after his injury back into the Red Carpet Rumble, and to see him to be the United Television Champion right now. If I was a full-time active competitor in championship wrestling, I would be gunning for Dan Joseph simply because he is the United TV Champion. And he's done a great job successfully defending that title too. What about Anthony Idol? What about Anthony Idol? I love Anthony Idol. The neon phenomenon. I've had several people ask me if he's related to Austin Idol. And it was even put up on Instagram where the Universal Heartthrob Austin Idol commented on it. And he gave basically the stamp of approval on Anthony Idol. So I absolutely love Anthony Idol. Be Free CBD's in the house. Says Dustin Starr, you rock. No, you rock. Thank you guys for the box. That box, I did an unboxing video of my Be Free CBD package. And so that's available right here on this YouTube channel. If it's not, it will be in a day or so, but it's on my social media at Dustin Starr. You'll really be impressed with the box and the quality. Man, it was fantastic. Got oils, bath bombs, and even flour. CBD flour. Absolutely fantastic. Check them out, BeFreeCBD.com. Like I say, they bring you the podcast each and every Monday. Watts is awesome. I totally agree. Going through here. Greg, certainly welcome. Thank you for doing this live stream, Dustin. Man, I will do more of these live streams. If you guys like them, I do some on Facebook. So if you find me on Facebook, it's Dustin, the number 5, Starr with 2 R's. Go like me there. And immediately following this YouTube live, I'm probably going to go and shout out to my Facebook following as well. We even do watch-alongs from time to time to where we watch one of the matches and I provide insight and commentary over the top of it. I think the last one we did was when we wrestled, it was Dana White looking for a fight. So Dana White showed up in Memphis and stood across the ring from myself and my Maria. We also had, I locked up with Matt Serra, UFC legend. Dean Thomas was my partner. Derek King was Matt Serra's partner. Jerry Lawler was the special enforcer. I did a play-by-play, I guess, watch-along on Facebook. That's available there. Also did a Facebook watch-along with our match against Badass Billy Gunn, which was a whole lot of fun. Lots of inside stories and such. But if you're looking for something to watch on YouTube, look up Dana White looking for a fight. You'll see where they came to Memphis. And the thumbnail is actually a picture of my Maria on Dana White's back choking him out. So check that out. I think over 1 million people have viewed it so far. Let's see here. Other questions? Thank you guys for the interaction here, man. This is cool. Dan Joseph competed in NWA, right? If Dan Joseph competed in NWA, it wasn't the NWA Power program that we see now. He was a United World Tag Team Champion at one point, I do believe. Greg says, oh my gosh, Anthony Idol is one of my favorites. Yeah, he's become definitely a favorite on Championship Wrestling. Says, we love these, Dustin. Thank you. Thoughts on the rooftop Money in the Bank WWE is doing. So I have not seen SmackDown yet. And as you guys know, I watch every single bit of wrestling that I can. I've seen the WWE post about it, where apparently the match, Money in the Bank match, will start on the ground level. And then they'll have to climb the corporate ladder, which is the top of Titan Towers, I guess. Talked to some of my friends about it, and it was, just briefly, because it was just last night that it was announced, and I can't believe it. I think it's going to be cool, especially if they shoot it like one of those cinematic, and this is something that's become very popular because of the Boneyard match. But the Gargano-Ciampa match was, I think, even better than the Orton-Edge match. But if they do it similar to that, I think it's going to be very cool. I like how they're thinking outside the box. They've got to do something different, right? I'm here for it, JG Gonzalez. I'm going to watch it. James says, Destiny and I love these live streams. This is fun. Please do more. I will, James. Shout out to you and Destiny. Always been such great supporters of what we do, and we appreciate the feedback on that. DRCM, is professional wrestling fun or painful? Both. Both. I had an MRI just a couple of years back where I was terrified. I lost a little bit of feeling in these two fingers, and they thought it was due to my elbow, but they were fearful it was because of my neck. So in my C3 and C4, there's some debris and a little bit of pressure that causes tingling and numbness in these two fingers. And that's from taking bumps since I was 15 years old, bumping over and over and over again. So it's definitely painful. But then also, I don't want this to sound crazy cocky or anything, but watching Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels and just the physiques that they had, and the women that they had with them, and just their overall look, the fun part is developing your own look. And so growing up and being in the weight room and all that kind of stuff, gosh, it took a long time, but I finally developed the look that I thought that Dustin 5-star should be the whole time, and the missing piece was definitely my Maria. So it is fun, but it is painful. Absolutely. And anybody that tells you otherwise, I don't think they're doing it right. Can we get a karaoke at a live event? Dave Brown hosts. I believe it would be a big hit. This has been a discussion in the chat room for a while. Dave Brown doing karaoke. I don't even know if Dave Brown likes karaoke. It's definitely something we could talk to him about. Maybe he hosts the karaoke. I don't know. Dave and I have done quite a bit together with the Memphis Grizzlies and Grind City Wrestling. And of course, he's the spokesperson for Pro Shingle. You see him every week on the program. And we're just happy to have him on our show. Absolutely. Trusted source, definitely. I had a question, a text message. What's the pin that I'm wearing on the program today? That is the NWA World Television Championship. And I believe you can purchase these in the eBay store from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And United Wrestling Network, if you're still with us, go ahead and put a link in there. There is a new United States Championship pin. There's the 10 pounds of gold, and this is the television title. I actually lost my NWA 10 pounds of gold last time I was in Hollywood. I was standing there with Ricky Starks, James Storm, and the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Nick Aldis. And we were at the Magic Castle. I'm probably going to get in trouble for telling these inside stories, especially at the Magic Castle. It was so much fun, but the magician made a bet with me of if he could do this trick to me. And I agreed. And he said, put the 10 pounds of gold on the line. And I lost the 10 pounds of gold. Yeah. To Mysterion, by the way, who was on America's Got Talent. Absolutely fantastic. He blew me away. This one says Zaddy's rock. Yep, Wolf Zaddy's undefeated. They rock. Static better watch out. United Wrestling Network says that Dan Joseph debuted when we were NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood in 2011. There you go. So yes, he was NWA, but prior to the new genre of NWA Power. Jay says, I like Andy Brown. Let me tell you something. All gimmicks and working aside, Andy Brown is a great dude, man. He is a great guy. And so talented too, by the way. Ice TV says, what's good with Ice Williams? I don't know, Ice. You tell us what's good. Jamie Iovine has been trying to recruit you for several weeks now, and last week, you tore up his business card. I don't believe it, though. I think there's more to this story than what's going on. Either you're going to pay the price for that, or Jamie Iovine is going to up the money, if you know what I'm saying. Shout out to Ice Williams. Ice Williams and Danny Limelight Rivera absolutely tore it up last week. If you missed that episode, go watch it right now. Two of the very best. Young athletes and guys that we're going to see on other programs. And like I hate to say bigger stages, because to me, this is the big stage. We're on television all across the United States, probably over 100 different channels, different markets, big markets too. Destiny, yes, having you live stream is such a great compliment to Championship Wrestling and the wrestling history. Shows you really care about us, the fans, and thank you. Thank you, Destiny. That is absolutely true. I've been doing this a really, really long time, and wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in to do this as a career if it wasn't for the wrestling fans. Whether you boo us or you cheer us, or like a lot of people do, they'll boo us and yell stuff at us, but then they like to meet us after the show because they were thoroughly entertained. And we were really, really touched when we came out to Hollywood last year, and there were Dustin Starr signs and Maria Starr signs and people yelling about Pro Shingle. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. A little story is we were about to meet David Marquez out on Hollywood Boulevard, and I told Maria just kind of jokingly, like, we've made it when people recognize us out in Hollywood. And we kind of laughed at it. Got off the elevator and walked out, and there was somebody that said, Dustin, Maria Starr. And we were like, what? True story. We were floored. We waited until we got away, and then we were like, can you believe, what in the world? It was the craziest thing ever. Shows you the power of television. All right, so I'm a little behind on here. Thank you for that, Destiny. JG says, I kind of wish R-Truth qualifies so we can get comedic spots. Me too. R-Truth started right here in Memphis, Tennessee, at Memphis Championship Wrestling. A friend of mine, he was there when I got signed to WWE. We did several shows together. R-Truth's a great guy, and if you don't follow him on social media, shame on you. He is hilarious. Jay says, Andy Brown's one of my favorites. Me too. Mr. E says, I fell off WWE product wagon. They need you now more than ever. And I don't get paid by the WWE, but I'm a WWE guy. WWE needs us more than ever. And think of it this way. Professional wrestling goes as WWE goes. Okay? So if WWE has a major scandal that puts wrestling in a bad light, that affects all wrestling, whether it's directly or indirectly. And I think everybody in the business would have to agree with that. Dark Side of the Ring, I'm a big fan of, but I saw a tweet that went out this week. What about Light Side of the Ring? Why not tell these good stories of professional wrestling too? So we go as WWE goes, and we being the professional wrestling world. So jump back on, give them a shot. James says, Ice Williams in the house. Yes, sir. Ice Williams is here. Ice has the it factor, says Destiny. I agree. I'm not so sure about that promo last week. What was that? Spider-Man song? Ice? I think you should come out to Ice Ice Baby. James, I love that dance you do on the ropes, Ice. Please do that more. It's so cool. Oh, is this turning into the Ice Williams show? What did you think about the Firefly Funhouse, says JG? I thought it was great. It was a wrestling match that didn't have any wrestling until the very end. So just the production quality is WWE level. Nobody does it like WWE does. I know some people hated it, but I thought it was really, really cool. Ice, you're a wacky good kind of cool, bro, says Mr. E. Greg, Zaddy's without a doubt one of the greatest teams in wrestling. Yes. Oh, how would you like to be standing across from two big bad dudes from Meat Mountain? I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to make those guys mad, especially when they're tag teaming with Anthony Idol. Sheesh. Unstoppable. Maybe get Super Beetle to do karaoke. Does Super Beetle do karaoke? I'm not sure. I don't know. United Wrestling Network proper shoes. Not sure what that means. I must have missed something. Mr. E. Ice does have the it factor. They're all agreeing here with Ice Williams. We'll be seeing more of him on the program, I'm sure. That was a great story. You lost the 10 pounds of gold. Yeah. And then let me tell you, I did not want to put the 10 pounds of gold on the line. I told Nick Aldis, you put the real 10 pounds of gold on the line. He's like, no way, Jose. There's actually a good match with me and Nick Aldis when he was the Global Force Wrestling champion, and I defeated him for the Global Force Championship. I didn't leave with the championship, though. That's on 5-Star Fan Cam if you guys want to check it out. Take the offer, Ice, says Destiny. I thought for sure Ice was going to join Jamie Iovine. Danny is amazing. He absolutely is. This comment says, Ice Williams and Chris Bay are friends. Maybe Bay told Ice something we don't know about Jamie Iovine. Ooh, good one, Lamb. Yeah. Chris Bay, he's been touting Ice Williams on social media and pumping him up. Very proud of his buddy. Maybe that's right. Maybe he told Ice to say no. Mr. E, every single talent involved with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood are amazing, talented people. Totally agree. And it's kind of one of those things, when you meet them in person, you become bigger fans of them than even before. And that's what happened with me. Became bigger fans once I met these guys and gals. Greg says, my God, Limelight is awesome. A whole array of fantastic moves. Yeah, I don't know how he does it. You wouldn't see me doing most of that stuff. Ron Killings is legit. I support wrestling, just want them to reach their potential at WWE. We all do. And it's a television show. It's like a sporting event. If my favorite team is the Miami Dolphins, guys. We have not had a good season since Dan Marino left, but I still watch the Miami Dolphins every single time I can. Jay says, you should face Watts. Do I have a death wish? Watts is on the program next week. Mr. E faced the real world's champion and national treasure, Mr. Nick Aldis. Yeah, he is. And you know what? I'll be honest. I thought the NWA had diminished, and I thought the NWA was basically dead. And then Nick Aldis came along. And he has, to me, in my eyes, almost single-handedly carried that company on his back and made that world championship mean something again. Rick Bowman, if Brock Lesnar is really leaving WWE, that would be a huge ratings builder to get him versus Watts. Oh man, just imagine the money that you'd have to pay Brock to do that. And I haven't heard that Brock's leaving the WWE. I haven't heard that yet. But would I like to see Watts versus Brock Lesnar? Heck yeah, let's put that on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Greg says, no, that's scary. DRCM, what does it take to become a professional wrestler? Well, man, it takes everything. It takes a lot of hard work, dedication, pain, blues, agony, suffering. You got to put it all on the line, man. All of it. You have to sacrifice, and you have to work harder than everybody else. You have to do the things that nobody else wants to do to get where those people that you admire got to. That's what they did. You've got to train. You got to have a reputable trainer, which I've heard so much great things about the Santino brothers out in California. Dr. Tom Pritchard and Glenn Jacobs, Kane, they have a great training facility in Knoxville. Dr. Tom Pritchard's the greatest trainer that I've ever met. Also, there are training opportunities here in Memphis, Tennessee. Also, you got to get in the gym. Definitely got to get in the gym. I started at 140 pounds, soaking wet. Just a kid out of high school. You look at the promo pictures and you're like, sheesh. I remember Brian Christopher, a good friend of mine, God rest his soul, telling me at an early age, you tell people you're a wrestler? And he laughed at me, literally laughed at me. And that was used as motivation to get to where I wanted to get in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve. Same thing with Bill Dundee. He had some really just not so nice things to say early on in my career. Now we're great friends, and we've worked several times together, actually hundreds of times together. And you'll see Bill Dundee on our program as well. But it's kind of pushing you by challenging you. Greg, Ice Williams, good wrestler. Yes, Greg. Well, I shared the link with some of my friends, and I'm hoping my friends watch, otherwise going to miss out. Yeah. That's more like it. Mr. Aldis doesn't go by Nick Aldis, but by his proper title, the real world champion. All right, so here's a question from Rick. How come there is not a Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Women's Championship? That's actually a really good question. I think the NWA Women's Championship is what Championship Wrestling recognizes as their women's title. Lamb says, women's title is a topic you could hear this Monday at the podcast. Actually, we talked about the World Championship, United Wrestling World title. We did not really touch on the Women's Championship, but we should. I totally agree. I mean, the champion would be Heather Monroe, right? Put in the comments here. Tell me, who would beat Heather Monroe? Lacey Ryan. We saw Sandra Moon today on the program. So, I don't know. There's Simone Cherie, who's done really well. Also with WOW, Women of Wrestling. I'm a big fan of that too, by the way. I think it's just a matter of having the division. Look at our tag team division, for instance. We all know the singles division is absolutely fantastic. Tag team division is absolutely loaded. I mean, it is loaded. The Championship Wrestling women's division is as well, but you see a lot of people coming in and out of that division. And Heather Monroe kind of being the mean girl, resident mean girl for Championship Wrestling. Heather Monroe is the only one for the title, says Dustin. Yeah, I agree. Sandra Moon, I'm a big fan of Sandra Moon. Morgan beat Heather Monroe 2 times on Championship Wrestling from Arizona. There you go. Maybe we could see some of the Arizona ladies featured on Championship Wrestling. I'm all for that. But yeah, the women's wrestling, to me, is more popular than ever. And you'll see that in the views on YouTube. You'll see that in the viewership on ratings. And that Falls Count Anywhere match was insane. I couldn't believe it. Destiny says Vipress. She was something to see. Yeah, I think that we should totally see Vipress back on the show. She actually got a great reaction in the comments and everything, so people were really liking Vipress, especially the men. Kurt says, I go all the way back to Thunder Kitty in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Been begging for them to bring her back, David Marquez to bring her back. I'm not so familiar with Thunder Kitty, but we've seen Thunder Rosa. She's been on the program. Allison Cade defended the NWA Women's World Championship at Red Carpet Rumble in September. Mr. E. Heather is so good at being bad, and Lacey could take my lunch money and mine without a struggle if she wanted. I think that's why the women are so popular. That is funny. Rick says, is there a chance for MLW and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood event? There's always a chance. So Monday at noon on the Championship Wrestling podcast presented by Be Free CBD, David Marquez actually talks about that. And he's done a lot of podcasts. He does a lot of his Facebook Live, so he interacts with the fans as well. And he says he's up for partnering with just about anybody that makes sense. You know, everybody's always asking about an affiliation with the NWA. Nobody has an affiliation anymore. Nobody's like a member of the NWA anymore. And I mean, absolutely, he's all down for, talent sharing and working with promotions as long as it makes sense. MLW has a great program too, by the way. Their wrestlers are legit. Championship Wrestling has a great relationship with Impact Wrestling. That was in the comments there. Absolutely. You still see a lot of the Championship Wrestling talent on Impact Wrestling. Chris Bay, Lacey Ryan. You saw a lot of guys in 2019. They actually did a taping with Impact. So a bunch of guys were featured on there. Rick Bowman, AEW said they will work with any promotion. Well, AEW, you've seen the Young Bucks on our program, and also Cody and Brandy Rhodes in studio, sit-down interview with myself and my Maria, and it wasn't like a wrestling promo. It was like, hey, brother, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. It was sitting down and talking power couple to power couple, so to speak, where they're both so involved in wrestling in the scene, as you all know. If you missed that interview, just search on our YouTube channel. Cody and Brandy, Maria and I sat down with them, exclusive interview. It's good stuff. It's about 6 or 7 minutes long. I think that aired on all the programming all across the United Wrestling Network, so we were happy to have them on. But yeah, AEW is definitely willing to work with anybody. I've got a lot of friends over there. Great relationship with those guys, and I can only imagine what could happen in the future. But yeah, we've had them on the program. Greg says the match with Heather and Lacey was great. OMG. I mean, I was sitting there watching it. Just to give you a little peek behind the curtain, I get to preview the show because I helped put it together, obviously. I get to preview the show a little bit earlier in the week before anybody else does. And when I saw this, I told all my friends, I told Maria, which she watches the show anyway, I said, you are not going to believe this match coming up this weekend. It was awesome. And shout out to Houston Body because he helped make that match very, very special by being thrown in the dumpster. Jay says you should do a Survivor Series. Survivor Series with interpromotional competitors? That's a possibility, but where you run into trouble is who's going to win. I think that's why you don't see a whole lot of interpromotional stuff. Mr. E, NWA is so good. It is from time to time. I love Power. That's my favorite program that they have. Jay says Championship Wrestling and NWA. We definitely have a great partnership and relationship with them, but there's not like an affiliation or a member or anything like that. I mean, you could see a lot of the Championship Wrestling talent. Dan Parker, David Marquez, Royce Isaacs. Gosh, I know there's more, but I'm just doing this off the top of my head. I don't have notes. And then also you see those guys on our program as well. MJF, Luchasaurus, they were on Championship Wrestling as well. Good point, Destiny. Willie Mack versus MJF happened last year. Luchasaurus was in the ring at Championship Wrestling last year as well. We have Marco Stunt that's going to perform at the Birthday Bash when it happens. I've actually been getting a little contact with Orange Cassidy as well. So maybe we could have Orange Cassidy out at the Birthday Bash. I hate to drop names, but Mr. E, the dumpster was great. Yeah, man, that was crazy. Poor Nico Marquez got hit with the bottle. I could not believe the lady squaring off with the bottles like a sword fight. It was awesome. It reminded me, dare I say, it reminds me of Memphis. And I mean that with all due respect in the sense that Memphis don't bluff. It would be nothing for a Memphian to pull out a bottle, bust it out, and have a fight with it. That was absolutely cool. Shout out to Nico. He helped make that match very special too. Will we see Johnny and Kevin back in a different position? Well, you know, we saw Rock Nest Monsters lose in that Loser Leaves Championship Wrestling match. So it only makes you wonder, where's Vermin? Maybe that's how we see them return. Mr. E says Zicky Dice. Yeah, Zicky Dice. Actually, a lot of people think that Zicky Dice came from NWA Power, but Zicky Dice actually came from Championship Wrestling. David Marquez mentioned in a recent podcast that he kind of helped pave the way to make that happen in a sense because he was a Championship Wrestling guy, made it over to the NWA Power and became the NWA Television Champion, and he's been on our program multiple times, almost every single week, and I still can't believe what he did to Gentleman Jervis, who, by the way, Gentleman Jervis is one of my favorite characters in all of Championship Wrestling. If you haven't checked out his merch boy, please go do that. He has great t-shirts. I actually bought a Gentleman Jervis mask. Yeah, love it. Peter Avalon, Brandon Cutler, and please, Scorpio Sky. Thank you, Destiny. I don't have notes in front of me. I should have remembered all that. And I do remember all that. Peter Avalon was on the very first episode of Championship Wrestling. You're going to see him next week. AEW's Brandon Cutler is on the program next week on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. And who could forget Scorpio Sky making his surprise return last year to win his 5th United TV Championship. And oh man, one of my favorite matches of last year was the farewell match with Scorpio Sky hand-picking Uptown Andy Brown to be his opponent. Awesome, and I'm sure that we're going to see that coming up on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Scorpio Sky is a major star. Mark this live chat. Mark this right here, right now. Dustin Starr says that Scorpio Sky will become world champion. It will happen. Rick Bowman, good idea. United has Rocky Mountain, Capitol, and Tampa Bay, so Survivor Series event would make sense. Got to talk to David Marquez about that. I just hope the Red Carpet Rumble is still on this year. That's my favorite event. I'm watching the stream of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood instead of watching on TV. Yeah, man, anywhere that you watch. Be sure to watch tomorrow because it's the special television taping that they did from China, which was a big feather in the cap to David Marquez. He talks about that on the podcast coming up. And I've actually heard that people like to watch on YouTube with us because they can chat with us. So that's very, very cool. We appreciate that. Julian Smith, I believe Ric Flair's greatest rivalry are Harley Race, Ricky Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, and Sting. I agree with you. Absolutely. Harley Race's birthday was last week. Wish he was here. How about very first match with the question mark featured a young Canadian talent that you've featured before on NWA? He took the insane bump taking the first Mongrovian Spike. Yeah, Dan Parker. I mentioned him earlier, I believe. The cocky Canuck who's going to come to Memphis for the belated birthday bash. What's up, Brady? My son Brady popping in here. You hear the dogs for the first time as well. Doing a live chat here on YouTube with some great wrestling fans, man. Question, Rick Bowman, is Marlon Bishop ever going to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? I'm not sure. I don't know. I've got just a couple of more minutes on this live chat. If you have any more questions or anything that you want to hear a little more information about, put those in the comments. And then also, if you're watching this at a later time, you can always put your questions in the comments and we'll go back and we'll respond to those. Like I said earlier in this broadcast, we like to interact with you guys. And try to respond to every single comment that comes on. And if you haven't already, take that subscribe button to Slap City. Go ahead and hit it. You can turn the reminders on. That way you'll know when there's brand new episodes and brand new videos, which we have new videos almost every single day. The matches that you saw, those are going to be posted as well. Outside of the normal programming, the podcast happens every single Monday at noon. Brand new Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle every single Saturday at noon, where you can live chat on both of those. Wags5115, where can I watch? Don't have TV station. Okay, all you have to do is you're already on our YouTube page. Go to playlists. You'll see full episodes. You have 55 episodes, absolutely free, original content that you can watch. Even if it was from a year ago, post something in the comments. We'll still interact with that. But you have 55 episodes. Also, you'll see a podcast playlist where you can listen to 16. There will be 16 on Monday of the Championship Wrestling podcast presented by Be Free CBD. There's also a vlog playlist that about 2 to 3 minute videos that give you behind the scenes looks inside Championship Wrestling. We were in Hollywood. You see behind the scenes there. Behind the scenes with Jerry the King Lawler, Dutch Mantel, you name it, man. There's everything in there. There's also a special segments playlist where you can see other television programs that myself and my Maria have done promoting Championship Wrestling and promoting professional wrestling in general. But subscribe to our channel and you'll get all of that action and all that footage, and you can find it all in the playlist. The dog barking. Now you know how Dave Marquez feels in his live streams on Facebook. Oh my gosh, Sport barks all the time. I heard him the other day and he's, Sport! Luckily our dogs don't bark a whole lot, but perfect timing, right?
Bruce?
Yeah, Bruce would bark a lot. Yeah, Sport does bark a lot too. Shout out to Sport though, love him. Destiny, thank you so much. Thank you, Dustin. Have a great week. See you on the CBD podcast. Be well, be happy, stay positive. Thank you, Destiny. We appreciate you each and every week. You're one of the biggest Championship Wrestling fans, and we appreciate it. And hopefully you can still get out to Memphis for the birthday bash. If not, I'm sure we'll see you in Hollywood really, really soon, and definitely in the live chats. Rick Bowman says, Rowan versus Bateman versus Baines in a triple threat match would be explosive. Yeah, well, those guys in any match would be explosive. Big fan of Bateman. Bateman cashing in the PP3 Cup last year was just epic. And I can't wait to see what Ray Rosas does with the cup this year, if he keeps it. Wags, thanks. I'm in, sometimes on Fight. Yes, so Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is on Fight TV. Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle, the brand that you're watching right now, is available on CW30 Memphis Television in the viewing area of the Mid-South, Jonesboro, Tupelo, Jackson, Tennessee, all the way to Tunica. We got a huge viewing area. And then also at the same time that it hits Memphis Television, we live chat and it hits YouTube. So you can watch live with us from anywhere in the world. But Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, which will be a totally different show. So moving forward, the Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle will be different than any other Championship Wrestling affiliate. So it'll be brand new. You can watch both programs. 5-Star Fan Cam is here. Oh yeah. Hey, 5-Star Fan Cam. Drop a link in the chat real quick. We've been talking about some of the great matches that we've had with Billy Gunn, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, Matt Hardy, gosh, Chris Masters. I know I'm leaving some names out. Nick Aldis. But go ahead and post the link in there so everybody can watch wrestling for the rest of the day. If you like to see a strut, an oh yeah, and kissing my Maria while I'm flexing my muscles, it's just the right show for you. Yes, that is a great benefit. That's one of the reasons I watch on YouTube, says Greg. We appreciate it, Greg. We know you've said that to us before. We appreciate you coming on and chat with us. And it's late, and it's on late night TV, so it's better for me to watch on YouTube also, yeah. And don't forget, you can catch myself and Maria at 11 p.m. on News Channel 10-2 in Amarillo. And we'll be there live as soon as the pandemic is over. Shout out to Chris Lash out in the Texas market that's bringing you Championship Wrestling presented by the Amarillo Venom every Saturday night. Got in Buffalo, got to watch here. Sweet. All right, well, join us here. You'll see our program here. You won't see our program, the Pro Shingle product, in Buffalo. You'll have to find that right here. Yes, Rick Bowman, Championship Wrestling from Arizona is also on Fight TV on Tuesdays. So the Arizona show is completely different than the Hollywood show, and the Championship Wrestling that I have presented by Pro Shingle is different than any of the other programs. So you got a lot of great wrestling to watch, along with AEW and WWE and Impact and everything else. So Jamode Manning, hello Dustin Starr, I'm a big fan of Championship Hollywood. Well, we appreciate it, man. If you haven't seen our show, it's different than the Hollywood product, so hit the playlist real quick and you could find over 55 episodes, vlogs, and everything else. We've passed the 1 hour mark. Hopefully we can do this each and every week where I give live reactions to Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. I think I'm going to hop over on Facebook to talk to some of my Facebook friends. You guys want to join me there? It's Dustin, the number 5, Starr. But thanks for joining me in the live chat. Thanks for joining us here for the live reactions. Don't forget, Championship Wrestling podcast presented by Be Free CBD is Monday at noon, featuring an exclusive interview with all sorts of insights and plans for the future with United Wrestling Network's owner, David Marquez. And until then, it says I'm from Long Beach, California. That's the U.S. Until then, so long, everybody.